The film begins in a fish market. Kang Dong-cheol and Chun-sik unload the day's catch. They are fish distributors. They deliver it to the different sellers in the market. As they go about their business, they spot the union president threatening one of the sellers who owes him money. Chun-sik tells Kang that the union president is a bully. He raided the market and took money from the sellers for it. He continues and asks Kang whether he received his payment from the union president. Kang tells him that it's overdue from last month, and hopefully, he will get paid this month. The union president spots them, commends them for good work, and walks away. Kang and Chun-sik, along with Kang's friend Park, are at the dock meeting with a shipowner, about to make a deal. The man tells them that it would take at least 6 months for them to recoup their investment. He asks for an advance, but Kang and Chun-sik are nervous. They both want to ask something. Finally, Kang gathers the courage and asks to see the stuff before handing over the advance. The shipowner shows them a sample and they exclaim in shock, unable to believe their eyes. He picks it up and holds it out to them, and it is revealed to be a huge king crab. Kang asks him when the next shipment is coming, and whether it will be in by the next month. The shipowner gets offended and tells him that if he does not believe him, he should not buy from him. Park explains to him that Kang has been cheated a few times before, so he is just worried. He is very naive. The shipowner reassures him and explains that it takes a month for the shipment to get in, then another for them to take it to the sellers, and then finally a month for it to get sold. Kang is reassured and pays him the advance. On the other side of town, a woman goes through her day jobs, one as a caregiver to the elderly and then as a server in a restaurant. She is Kang's wife, Ji-soo. At the end of the day, Ji-soo and Kang are on their way home. They lovingly talk about their day and share food in the car. Kang tries to tell her about the investment he made in king crabs. But, afraid of her reaction, he tries to convince her that it will be a good investment. Ji-soo is apprehensive, due to his bad track record in making investments. She reminds him of his previous business ideas, where he was defrauded and lost so much money. He tries to tell her the king crab business is different, but she doesn't want to hear any more about it. So, he does not tell her about already having invested. On the other side of town, a man opens his door, and a goon cuts through the chain lock and walks into the house. Another man walks up to the apartment, and hearing the sounds from inside, decides to wait outside. He spots a woman walking below, and drops his cigarette stub near her feet. She looks up in surprise and he hides from her, laughing at his prank. He goes inside the house and finds the owner begging the goons to let him go, as he will pay back the money. As the man enters, the goons make way for him, establishing him as their leader. The leader, Ji-ae, jokes with the indebted man. He tells him that he is in no shape to repay the loan, so they will end him and take the insurance money. He tells him that he will have to slip in the bathroom and hurt his head. The man looks at him, shocked. Ji-ae's men pour soap on the bathroom floor, to make it slippery. Ji-ae warns the man to fall correctly, or else they will have to throw him off the roof. He then asks his goons to hold him down so he can bash his head in with a brick, and then they can stage it to look like a slip-and-fall mishap in the bathroom. But before he can do that, the man's daughter walks in. The minute Ji-ae sees the man's pretty daughter, he changes his behavior completely and starts calling the man his father-in-law. He tells him that he can keep the money, but in return, he will be taking his daughter. His men carry the girl away as her father cries. Kang stops at a traffic signal, when suddenly a car crashes into his. He gets out to check the damage. In the car behind him is Ji-ae, with the girl he abducted sitting in the back seat. As Kang approaches the vehicle, the driver opens the window a crack and hands his business card to Kang, telling him his insurance company will handle everything. Kang tells him they need to inform the authorities, but the driver tries to hand him some cash and requests him to let the matter rest. Kang declines, and in the back seat, Ji-ae pushes the girl's head below the seat, so that Kang cannot see it. Ji-soo sees the driver throwing money at Kang and steps out of the car, angry. She yells at the driver for being disrespectful, as Kang tries to calm her. Ji-ae spots Ji-soo, and is mesmerized by her beauty. He steps out of the car, walks to the front, drags out his driver, and hits him for being disrespectful. He turns and apologizes to Kang and Ji-soo. He takes the wheel and drives out of there at breakneck speed. Kang stares after him suspiciously. The next day, Kang visits the union president's office to claim his money. The president gives him excuses and ignores him. Kang tells him that he needs the money, and the president relents and asks his accountant to pay him a very small part of the money. Kong is frustrated, but does not do anything. Later, he and Chun-sik are having lunch. Chun-sik asks him about the shipment. Kong tells him that ships take time, and they should be patient. Just then, they receive a call from Park, who informs Kong that their ship has been caught in Chinese waters, and now only the government and president of Korea can negotiate for its release. Kong and Chun-sik are completely devastated. Jisoo is at the lawyer's office, who informs her that the bank will be foreclosing on their loan, and they may not get the deposit back. Jisoo asks her what their options are. The lawyer tells her there is one way. Jisoo walks out of the office extremely sad. Across the street, Ji-tae's men are keeping an eye on her. She goes to a restaurant, where Kong is waiting for her. She tells him the restaurant seems way too posh, and that they should not waste money. Kong tells her they can afford to celebrate. She asks him if they should get divorced. Kong is shocked, and she explains that the lawyer gave her the idea of taking a fake divorce to reduce the debt. Kong refuses to even consider it, and tells her about the king crab investment. She asks him how much he invested. He tells her 10K. She gets furious at him. But he tells her that he wishes to be successful and earn money. He calms down and tells her not to worry so much. They are celebrating her birthday and she should enjoy the meal. When he steps outside to get the cake, she leaves. At home, she messages him, apologizes, and tells him she trusts him. Kong is happy to see her message. She hears a knock at the door and wonders how he could follow her home so fast. She goes to the eye hole and checks outside, but finds no one at the door. Kong is on his way home, but stops, as there is a car in the middle of the road. A man is standing there transferring stuff from one car to another. Jisoo is about to go back inside when the lock turns and someone enters the house. It is Ji-tae's men, who kidnap her. Kong reaches home to find her gone, the bedroom in disarray, and the window broken. He rushes to the police station. The cop tells him that they could identify only the suspect's vehicle, as the CCTV wire was cut off, and so there is no other footage. He asks Kong if he recognizes the vehicle, but Kong has no idea about it. He requests the cops find his wife. As he leaves, Chun-sik is waiting outside. Just then, Kong gets a call. The caller identifies himself as the kidnapper, and tells him he should not have gone to the cops, as they will never be able to help him. Ji-tae tells Kong that he should listen to him, as he has his wife. He further tells him that he left a visiting card on his refrigerator, and Kong should meet him there. Kong finds the card and goes to the location. At the location, he is seated at a table by the server. On the table, there is a bag and a cell phone. Kong waits for Ji-tae, while Chun-sik waits outside in the parking lot. The phone on the table starts ringing, and Kong picks it up. Ji-tae asks him to enjoy the meal. Kong asks him about Jisoo. Ji-tae tells him to open the bag, and Kong opens it to find cash inside. Ji-tae tells him that the money is in exchange for his wife. Kong is confused. Ji-tae tells him that, just like the fish he sells, he is selling his wife in exchange for the money. He also tells him that he is angry, because Kong lied to him and brought Chun-sik along. Chung spots a man getting in the car, and yells to Chun-sik to follow him. They chase the car and stop it, but it turns out to be just a regular man with his family. Back at the police station, the cops regard him suspiciously. They do not understand why the kidnapper would pay him money for his wife. They keep the money as evidence. 2 days later, they still have no leads. The cop tells Kong that they found nothing in any of the car's cameras, as it was dark at night, and also raining that day. While leaving the station, Kong sees the bulletin board and observes that most of the missing persons are young women. When he goes back home, Chun-sik informs him that they have no money, so they cannot do anything to find Jisoo. Kong goes back to the union president's office. He asks for his money, but the president sets his goons on him. Kong easily fights them off. The president, scared by seeing the ease with which Kong fought off all his men, hands over his money immediately. Chun-sik takes Kong to a private detective. The detective's office is weird, and so is he. He tells Kong that his wife has left him, and the money he received is alimony. Kong gets up to leave, but Chun-sik asks him to trust him to handle the detective, and he gives the money to the detective. Kong leaves, after warning the detective to find Jisoo by the next day. Chun-sik tells the detective to help him out, and offers him 5% on the king crab's deal. Chun-sik and Detective Gamsajang look at the CCTV footage from the parking lot where Kong received the money. They find the man, but the man's face is not visible under the ball cap he is wearing, so they trace the number plate. Gamsajang pretends to be a cop and goes to the rental car place to get a client list. They find that the car is registered to a man called Choi Man-sik. They stake out his house, and Kong gets restless and goes inside the house. He finds Choi down in his cups. He tells them that he got paid for his number plate, as he needed the money for his kids. Kong asks him about the people he sold the plate to. He explains that there were too many at the auction, and gives them the location of the place. Kong, Chun-sik, and Gamsajang go to the underground establishment where Choi sold his plates. They meet a woman there, the manager, but she refuses to give out the information and asks her guards to beat them up. Kong once again easily bashes all of them, and then asks the woman to give him the information about the buyers. She tells him that she does not know them, but they come to Jaeseng port every few months and buy huge quantities of vehicle plates and lorazepam, an aphrodisiac drug. She hands them their business card. Kong recognizes the business card as the one he received from the person who rammed into his car at the traffic signal. As they leave, Gamsajang and Chun-sik discuss Kang's awesome fighting skills. Chun-sik tells Gamsajang that Kong was famous for his fists, and nicknamed Bull when he was younger. He imitates his angry gaze and tells Gamsajang that if he narrows his eyes, it means he is about to blow up. He recalls an incident at the Kukya Hotel and Gamsajang yells Kong Dong Cheol's name. He tells Chun-sik that he is a big fan of Kong. As Kong goes looking for the man, he spots another man getting out of a van. He is with a couple of women dressed in club clothes. He escorts them to a club. Kong recalls the CCTV footage, and the dark van that the cop suspected the kidnapper was driving. He peers inside the van through the windows and spots a business card the same as the one Ji-tae left for him on the refrigerator. That's when Kong recalls seeing the same man in the middle of the road, blocking it with his car, when Kong was driving home on the day his wife was abducted. The man returns and gets into the van. Kong knocks on the window, recognizes him instantly, and locks the car. He is about to drive away. Kong breaks the window and tries to stop him, but he still manages to drive away. Kong gets a phone call from the police station. They ask him to identify a woman's body from pictures of a crime scene. Kong is devastated, and terrified to look, but looks at them anyway, and his relief is palpable when he finds out it is not Jisoo. He overhears the cops talking about the woman, and they say she was reported missing 2 years ago. Gamsajang finds out about the woman's case, and informs Kong and Chun-sik that the woman was in a coma before she went missing, so the media took a lot of interest in it. Sometime later though, when the news cooled down, her husband turned himself in to the cops, but they never found her. Kong goes to the funeral and meets her husband. Kong tells him about Jisoo's kidnapping. The man tells him that he made a promise to his wife to always care for her, but failed. Flashback. The man is on television, writing a letter to his comatose wife. It is a reality show about a man and his wife. Ji-tae watches the video, and the next thing we see is that the man has been kidnapped. Ji-tae meets with him and tells him to drop the act of being a loving husband. He tells him that he has been garnering press for his act, but all he is interested in is money. He tells him that he will sponsor his show and take his wife, who is just like a living corpse, off his hands. The man is terrified, but gets tempted for a bit, as he is tired of his situation and his wife's condition. Back in the present, he tells Kong that he should never have done that to his wife. Kong and Chun-sik walk out when the man runs up to them and hands Kong a folder. He says it may help Kong find his wife, but it's of no use to him now. Kong and Chun-sik are standing by their car in the lot when someone falls on the car beside theirs. It's the husband. He committed suicide. Kong gets an appointment with the man who gave him his business card on the day of the accident. Kong waits for him in his office, and when he walks in he does not recognize Kong at first. When Kong reminds him, he pretends to be ignorant. Kong locks the cabin and threatens him to come clean. He keeps denying his involvement and swears his innocence. Kong abducts him. Ji-tae watches this on the CCTV feed and gets worried. At Gamsajang's office, Kong has hung the man in a hammock tied to the ceiling. Chun-sik asks Gamsajang if he has any tools for torture available. He tells him that that only works in movies. In real life, it can be fatal. They discuss electrocuting him into revealing everything. They even get pliers and wires. They check the sparking. The man looks at all this and is terrified. Kong is sitting on the couch, remembering the entire scene from the night of the accident. Just then, the phone rings, and it's Ji-tae calling. It's a video call. He turns the camera to show Jisoo, who is tied up. He asks him whether his man, the one Kong is holding, has revealed all his secrets. The man protests, but Ji-tae asks Kong to end him, on video, so he has proof against him. He says they each need to hold something over the other to be equaled. He dunks Jisoo under the water in his pool and tries to drown her, while threatening Kong to end his lackey. Kong strangles the man, afraid for Jisoo. Ji-tae tells him that he will give him one last chance. He needs to return the money to Ji-tae, and in return, he will free Jisoo. As he disconnects the phone, Gamsejang is still in shock at having witnessed Kong strangle the man. Chun-sik tells him that it's alright, as Nag knows what he's about, and the man is just unconscious. Chun-sik makes a cut on the man's head, bleeds him a bit, and shakes him to try and wake him. Kong slaps him awake. Gamsejang is relieved. The man, now awake, finally reveals everything. He tells them how Ji-tae is in the business of human trafficking, and he considers money above all. He abducts women from their homes and pays their families for it, sends them abroad with fake passports, and forces them into prostitution. Moreover, he is also involved in illegally selling human organs. Kong tells Chun-sik and Gamsejang that he needs to break into the police station and get the money back. Gamsejang tells Kong that he cannot go to the station, as his face is well known there, and he asks him to trust him to handle it. On the other side, Jisoo watches as one of the girls held captive tries to fight off a goon, the same man who drove the van that Kong broke the window of. As the man tries to hurt the girl, Jisoo kicks him in the balls, and he doubles up. Jisoo runs with the girl, but they are locked in, and the door won't budge. The man catches up to them. At the police station, Gamsejang and Chun-sik go in, pretending to be from the prosecutor's office. They manage to fool the cops on duty and reach the evidence room, as Kong waits for them outside. In the evidence room, they ask the record keeper to hand the bag over to them. The record keeper says the money has not yet been entered into the system, and so he needs to inform the officer in charge. He calls the officer, who tells him they haven't even reported the case to the prosecution yet, so how can they be there already? As this is going on, Kong gets more and more restless. He lights a fire near the fuel tank of a car, and the car blows up, creating a distraction during which Gamsejang and Chun-sik get out of the station and escape. Ji-tae arrives to find the young girl unconscious. The goon who hit her stands apologetically beside her unconscious form. Ji-tae gets mad at him and tells him he had a lot of money riding on her, hitting him as Jisoo covers in the corner. Just then, Kong calls him to inform him he has the money. Ji-tae calls him a crazy person and warns him against informing the cops. Next, Kong calls the cop and apologizes for stealing the money. The cop tells him he is in a lot of trouble. Kong reassures him that he can punish him after he gets his wife back. Jisoo tries to wake the young girl. She is unconscious since the beating. She finally opens her eyes. They both cry together. Jisoo notices a plastic covering on the wall, and with the young girl's help, removes it to find a grilled window there. They loosen the grill and pry the rods away. Jisoo manages to get out from there, but before she could pull out the young girl, the goon returns. The young girl hits him with a bat and he falls unconscious. Ji-tae arrives and realizes Jisoo has escaped. Jisoo runs out onto the road and stops a cab passing by. She gets in and asks him to take her to the police station. They get stuck in traffic and Jisoo gets out and starts running. But Ji-tae catches up with her and captures her again. Kong, along with Gamsejang and Chun-sik, arrives at the abandoned building where Ji-tae keeps the girls. Kong fights off the goons left behind by Ji-tae, while Chun-sik and Gamsejang rescue the girls who are being transported. Kong drives away just as the police arrive. The police take the girls to safety and find Chun-sik and Gamsejang there. They pretend to be from the prosecutor's office and con their way out of there. Kong comes face to face with Ji-tae's car. Ji-tae asks the driver to reverse as fast as possible, and Kong chases them. He comes level with the car when Ji-tae pushes Jisoo to the window, baiting Kong to crash his car into it. The chase continues, and they get on the highway and collide with each other. Kong swerves to save Jisoo and his car lands in a ditch. Ji-tae survives the collision too, and goes after Kong with an axe, leaving Jisoo unconscious in the car. He bashes the car with the axe, looking for Kong. Kong pulls him in and starts hitting him. He breaks his arm and continues to hit him, and Ji-tae loses consciousness. He goes to the van and finds Ji-soo. She wakes up and they hug. He apologizes to her for being late, and she just cries, relieved. They both sit on the sidewalk and wait for the cops to show up. A news telecast reveals the details of the human trafficking and prostitution ring. In the same telecast, they announce that the ship seized by Chinese authorities has been released. In the epilogue, we see Kang's king crab business has become successful, and the young girl that Ji-soo saved works in their restaurant. Gam Sejang left his former profession of being a detective and is now the chef at the restaurant, and Chun-sik is the manager. They all celebrate Ji-soo's birthday with king crabs.